Toronto's Regent Park. To many, it's a symbol of urban renewal, a vibrant, diverse community rising from its roots. But dig a little deeper, and you'll find a history shadowed by struggle, a narrative intertwined with the rise of street gangs. Today, we're taking a look at the complex story of Regent Park. From its origins as a social housing project to the gang conflicts that have shaped its identity for decades. Regent Park was originally built in the late 1940s as Canada's first large-scale public housing project. The vision was utopian, a clean, modern, and safe community for working-class families. For a time, it was. But as the decades wore on, social and economic pressures began to mount. The design of the neighborhood, with its isolated cul-de-sacs and lack of through streets, inadvertently created pockets of seclusion. This, combined with growing poverty and a lack of opportunities, created a fertile ground for social problems to take root. By the 1980s and 90s, things had changed dramatically. The dream had soured. Regent Park became synonymous with crime and poverty in the public eye. It was during this period that the first recognizable street gangs began to emerge. These weren't just groups of kids hanging out. They were becoming organized, driven by the lucrative but dangerous world of the drug trade. The names started to become known throughout the city. Point Blank Circle, Sick Thugs, Halal Gang. These weren't just names. They represented affiliations, territories, and identities for young men feeling marginalized and disconnected from mainstream society. Let's talk about some of these groups. Point Blank Circle, or PBC, was one of the earliest and most notorious gangs to come out of Regent Park. They established a firm hold on the area, and their influence was felt across the city. Their rivals, often born from internal beefs or territorial disputes, began to form in response. Groups like the Sick Thugs rose to prominence, and the lines were drawn. These weren't just neighborhood squabbles. They were serious conflicts that often had devastating consequences. The rivalry between these groups fueled a cycle of violence that gripped the community. The streets became a checkerboard of territories, where crossing from one block to another could be a life-or-death decision. For the residents, life was lived with a constant sense of unease. The sound of sirens became a familiar backdrop. Parents worried about their children getting caught in the crossfire, either literally or by being drawn into the gang lifestyle. It was a heavy burden for a community that was already struggling. But what drives a young person to join a gang? It's a complex question with no easy answers. For many, it's a search for belonging, for a sense of family and protection that they feel is missing elsewhere. In a world where opportunities seem scarce, the allure of quick money and the respect that comes with a fearsome reputation can be powerful. It's a twisted version of the Canadian dream, a shortcut that often leads to a dead end. These young men are often victims themselves, products of a system that has failed them in multiple ways, from underfunded schools to a lack of positive role models and job prospects. The rise of social media and music in the 2010s added a new, explosive dimension to these conflicts. Platforms like YouTube and Instagram became new battlegrounds. This is where crews like Halal Gang and their rivals, often associated with other neighborhoods, would trade insults, threats, and taunts. The music, a form of Toronto's own drill scene, became a powerful tool for communication. The lyrics were raw, unfiltered chronicles of street life, detailing everything from neighborhood pride to violent threats against their ops or opposition. Artists like Smoke Dog, Puffy Liz, and SAFE, all associated with Halal Gang, gained international recognition. Their music put Toronto's street culture on the map. But this fame came at a high price. The lines between art and reality blurred. Lyrics about real-life conflicts would often provoke real-life retaliation. The digital disses would spill over onto the physical streets with tragic consequences. The very music that brought them fame also kept them tied to the dangerous cycle of gang life. We saw promising young talents who could have been major stars lose their lives in this ongoing conflict. It's a heartbreaking reality of this scene. The violence wasn't contained to Regent Park. as gang members moved or expanded their operations. The conflicts spread to other parts of Toronto and the Greater Toronto Area. The names of the gangs and their ever-shifting alliances became a complex web that law enforcement struggled to keep up with. Project Traveler, Project Patton. Projects Sunder. These are just a few of the massive police operations launched over the years to dismantle these networks. These crackdowns resulted in hundreds of arrests and the seizure of weapons and drugs, providing temporary relief for the community. But law enforcement is only one part of the solution. Many argue, and I think rightly so, that you can't arrest your way out of this problem. The root causes: poverty, lack of opportunity, systemic discrimination, and a breakdown of community trust have to be addressed. This is where the story of Regent Park takes another turn. The Revitalization Project. Beginning in the mid-2000s, a massive multi-phase project began to tear down the old Regent Park and build a new, mixed-income community in its place. The vision was to deconcentrate poverty and reintegrate the neighborhood with the rest of the city. New streets were built to connect Regent Park to the surrounding grid. Modern condos were built alongside new social housing units. A new aquatic center, a park, and arts venues like the Daniel Spectrum were created to serve everyone. The revitalization has been a double-edged sword. On one hand, it has physically transformed the neighborhood, bringing in new residents, new investment, and new amenities. The old, isolated design that fostered gang activity is gone. Many residents feel safer and have access to better facilities. But there's another side to the story. Many original residents were displaced, sometimes temporarily, sometimes permanently. Some feel that the new Regent Park has lost its sense of community, that the old social fabric, for all its flaws, has been torn apart. Has the revitalization solved the gang problem? It's complicated. Physically breaking up the territory has certainly disrupted the old power structures. Some of the original gangs have been fractured or have moved their base of operations elsewhere. But the underlying issues haven't vanished. The young people who were at risk before are still at risk. They're just more spread out. The conflict has become less geographically concentrated in Regent Park itself and more dispersed throughout the city. The names of the groups might change, new alliances form, but the cycle of violence, fueled by the same root causes, continues. The story of Regent Park's gangs is not just about crime statistics or police raids. It's a human story. It's about the families who have lost loved ones. It's about the community workers, the youth mentors, and the activists who work tirelessly on the front lines, trying to offer young people a different path. Organizations within the community provide mentorship, job training, and safe spaces for youth, fighting to break the cycle one person at a time. They are the unsung heroes in this narrative. They offer a counter-narrative to the one of despair, a narrative of resilience, hope, and determination. They know that the solution lies in building strong communities, investing in youth, and creating real opportunities. It's a long, difficult road, but it's the only one that leads to lasting change. The story of Regent Park is a microcosm of a challenge faced by cities all over the world. How do we deal with urban poverty and the crime that it so often breeds? Do we police it, or do we try to solve it at its roots? The new Regent Park is an ongoing experiment. Its ultimate success or failure in creating a truly safe and equitable community for all its residents is a story that is still being written. The shadows of its past are long, but the community continues to fight for a brighter future. Thank you so much for watching. This is a really complex topic, and we've only scratched the surface today. What are your thoughts on the Regent Park revitalization? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video informative, please give it a like and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shape our cities. See you next time.